Hey, Dave here from Pewcentric, the marketplace for firearms enthusiasts just like you discover unique gear, services, and training. Basically, everything but the guns. Pewcentric Spotlight is our ongoing series of deep dives into interesting and unique listings that are live right now in the Pewcentric marketplace. And today we're going to take a deep dive into trigger groups for air guns. And I've invited Bill Baldyga of Magnum Airpower to tell us all about it.
It wasn't until I was in my late 30s that I bought a Crosman 1377, and it
Hmm.
was for pest control. I liked the way the gun was designed, and the only gun that was highly modifiable to a point where it was just blatantly obvious this would be the easiest gun to make custom parts for. That would be it, the 1377. And that's where all of a sudden the business aspect of this kind of kicks in. What if I opened up a speed shop, but instead of for hot rod cars, it was for hot rodding pellet guns? So I started making a lot of custom parts and tinkering with a lot of things. Of course, in the beginning, I was building custom, pellet guns from scratch for people, customizing models and doing all kinds of, somebody would ask me if I had a particular part or if I could make one. Sure, I'll make one for you.
So you basically pivoted from, hey, I'll help make your specific airgun better to making custom parts to making more turnkey solutions that a customer could drop in. Is that kind of the
Right. Yeah. So I decided to come up with an aluminum cover to replace the plastic trigger cover on a lot of the pistol models. And I couldn't understand for the life of me why nobody else had done it until I tried to do it. And then I very clearly understood why I was the only one that was, that had done it because I was the only one that was willing to go through an unbelievable series of frustrations to make it happen. It's an easy part to injection mold out of plastic. It's a very difficult part to metal injection mold. So really the way I wanted to do it was I wanted a machined cover. So I went to a machine shop and I said, "Can you make this out of metal?" Nope, was the answer about 3 months later. And I ended up going to a total of 7 machine shops that could not make it. So finally, I ended up with a machine shop that could make the part. Eventually I developed a custom trigger that I feel is, ultra comfortable and it lightens the trigger pull. It makes it a little bit easier to pull the sear down. So when you click the safety off and you pull the trigger, you see the sear up at the top here. Moves down very, very slightly, which is all it has to do for the gun to fire. Um, but the trigger cover was a big accomplishment. The trigger, getting a really comfortable trigger that produces a nice light pull on its own, it takes about 4 ounces off the trigger pull.
Do you have the like OEM trigger group to show how it compares and contrasts to what you have?
But this is the plastic trigger frame. Sorry, trigger cover, and this is from the newer Chinese model, because they make these in China now instead of the U.S. And then this is what the original trigger looks like. Hold it by the back here. It's a little thicker. It's thinner. Um, so once you've been firing quite a few shots through the pistol, it starts digging into your finger, and you let, people complain it bruises their finger. It's uncomfortable. So this has a nice wide trigger blade on it. So if you've got big fingers, they fit more comfortably in the trigger frame. Um,
Or if they're gloved?
yeah, or if you're wearing gloves, like if you're wearing shooting gloves, nice tight fitting shooting gloves, you'll still be able to wear those gloves and shoot this a gun with this trigger frame on it. Now, the reason why I'm showing just the trigger frame, um, is because there's I don't know, a dozen different models that all use the same trigger frame or one very similar to it that these parts are sometimes compatible with. Um, so the trigger frame is really the only part that I need to show to have a little less confusion. But if you've got a Crosman 2240, 2250, 1377, 1322, 2289G, Drifter, PC77, and 17 the 2240 XL, the 17 an older 1740, and I could probably name 5 or 6 other models that had the same trigger frame on them.
Why would someone want to buy a new trigger group? Because of what? What are they trying to achieve that you don't get with the stock configuration that the gun comes with?
The simplest answer would be that some people are never happy with m- something that is the way it was when they received it. There's something that could be more comfortable. There's something that could work a little easier. So there are practical reasons for some people, a disability, an illness, old age, and there's a lot of people that I've had their wives call me and say, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you because my husband's had a reason to live for the last 2 years." I've literally teared up on some of those phone calls because
Wow.
here I am thinking, well, I'm a businessman. I'm in this to make money. But I also want to help people. I've got a big heart.
Are there any high level pros, air gun shooters that use your gear that you're able to talk about?
Yeah, there's an Olympic shooter that got into the customizing Crosman pellet guns, and she bought quite a bit of stuff from me over the years. In fact, there's a couple of Olympic shooters. Um, and then a lot of them are guys that like there's a couple of them that are down in Florida, and they're thinning out the population of iguanas down there. It's a real problem. They're way overpopulated, and they're an invasive species in Florida. They don't belong there. So there's people that, they take their boats up and down the canals and they shoot iguanas all day, and it's their profession.
And they trust Magnum Airpower trigger groups and other upgrade parts to get the job done.
Yeah, my custom valves and pistons to get more power, to get more consistent power. So your point of impact is going to be more the same every time for better accuracy. The upgrade parts, the aluminum trigger cover that doesn't break on you when you got too many shots through the gun, or if you put a heavy hammer spring in there. One of the things about the aluminum cover that people don't realize is that it's not for looks. It's because it's stronger than the plastic cover. It doesn't wear out. And if you're using a heavy hammer spring pushing against the sear all the time, the pin that holds the sear in place will break through the plastic cover eventually. The aluminum one, you don't have to worry about that. Ask you, no. I think what I'll say is that I think Pewcentric is a really good idea. And that was the reason why when you first mentioned it to me, I jumped right on it. I was like, yeah, I'll be a part of this. I'll list some stuff on your website. And once it's up and established, like it is now, I know a lot of people, and I'm going to start steering people towards it because now that I've met you, and I see that what you're doing is, wow, this is really a good setup. This is a good idea. I want to support it 100%, and
That means a lot
that's
to me
that's really what's
because I
going
put
on in my
everything
head.
into this. You put everything into what you do. This is what I do 20, 18, 20 hours a day
Yeah,
is try to make this something that's great for people like you who put your heart and soul into your craft and want it to be protected and respected and valued. And that was really my motivation for launching this.
exactly.
So it's been a pleasure talking with you, Bill. And if you want to connect with him and see his entire collection of airgun parts, upgrades, please head on over to pewcentric.com/Magnum Airpower. As always, links are in the description. Please like, share, and subscribe to help drive the engagement, and we'll catch you next time.